For a resolution to approve the minutes of the last meeting. Evelyn, Fred? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. We've got two quick items today. I was thinking of letting Wayne and Ed fight over who was going to go first, but I decided that I'd go with the closest guy to me here.
Aye.
So, Wayne, why don't you...
Well, since I'm the one who requested the meeting, I should get my time first.
I'll defer graciously.
The county was awarded funding to the extent of $100,000 under a grant application we put in last year. That was to update the market study and undertake the economic impact analysis of operations with the rail line to Rensselaer Station. The proposal was sent out. It was Warren County proposal RFP 38-15. The results came in. There were two respondents. You all have a copy of the tab sheet. Based upon our review, the review of Iowa Pacific, and the review of the grantor agency, the recommendation is to go with a higher of the two. And the reason for that is if you look at the tab sheet, you will see that under items 3, 4, and 5, well, 3, 4, 5, and 6 is where IBI is putting the bulk of their resources and the capital investment, and that's where it needs to be, is on the analysis. They are also the more highly qualified. The Urbanomics group has done economic analysis, but it's more recreation-based and smaller scale. The IBI proposal included a study that they did for the Detroit-Windsor rail connection corridor, which is exactly what we're after. The principals involved from IBI are former CP rail executives. Therefore, they also have more knowledge of CP operations and what it's going to take to cross that area. Both of these firms do comply with the MWBE requirements, but as I said, we feel that the IBI proposal is by far the better. I gave you a copy of an email from David Simpson from Iowa Pacific and from Andy Labruzzo at Department of State, both recommending we go with IBI. Iowa Pacific is, as I said, the grant award was for $100,000. As part of the grant application, Iowa Pacific had agreed to provide $10,000. They have reconfirmed that to me, that they will provide $10,000, so the $109,893 is at no cost to the county.
That's what we like to hear. Someone like to move that to get it on the table? Evelyn, Fred? Any questions, suggestions, comments?
Wayne, so this is a study of rail service from Rensselaer to Saratoga?
From North Creek to Rensselaer and back.
Oh, the whole stretch?
The whole stretch, yeah. I mean, they do have they do go to Saratoga now, so it's really adding the Saratoga component, Saratoga to Rensselaer component, but it is going to look at the total operation. It'll look at their current economic impact to the region and what that economic impact would be with the connection to Rensselaer.
So it'll look at the total operation, the operation from Saratoga to North Creek, as well as a link possibly from Rensselaer to Saratoga.
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions? Fred?
Who's David Simpson?
He is with Iowa Pacific.
Iowa Pacific.
Basically, they have him as a consultant, but he's part of the management team of Iowa Pacific.
Ministers from Minnesota.
Okay.
Herman?
Yeah, I got a question. Seeing as Iowa Pacific's having a problem with CP getting the connection from Saratoga to Rensselaer, and now we're gonna get in bed with the former executives of CP who work for IBI, do you think that's wise?
I think that they have firsthand knowledge of the operations and they actually may open a door.
Any other questions? Okay, have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
That's all I have.
That's it, Wayne, thank you. Okay,
Hey, Ed.
Okay.
We all set, Mr. Chair?
Yes,
I know
go
you're
ahead.
on limited time here. In sake of time, I think one picture tells the story. This was just taken last week on Route 9 during the half-mile, $1 million outlet area. And the importance of this region area, and the proposed study would run from Round Lake Road on the south portion of the Great Escape all the way to about a quarter of a mile north of 149 and Route 9. It's about a 2-mile stretch. And since the study was done in 2008, there have been substantial changes in the operation and movement of traffic on Route 9 in this area, beginning with the continued development of the outlet areas, the new development across on the west side of Route 9. Importantly, from the county's perspective, you're looking to actively promote and sell property on Route 9 and over in Westmount. There continues to grow the efforts of the Great Escape in terms of their traffic, as well as Martha. If you go by there with Martha's, I think they basically doubled their attendance on a regular basis. There was a nice article in the Post-Star about their acknowledgement of being in the top 8. For all of those reasons, in the fact that really the study did not, in my opinion, take into account other options or recommendations. There is a concern by EDC, there is a concern by the property owners in this area that we've reached really a saturation point, that unless something is done, it's conceivable your sales tax could be starting to go the opposite way in this particular area. During southbound traffic, during a weekday in the summer is at around 14,000. Going northbound, it's about 10,000. But also you add into that the issue of emergency vehicles trying to go through that area, what provisions need to be made for that, and most importantly, we're asking the motorists to come up and park their vehicles and then to walk. Where are they walking? This region right now is not pedestrian or bicycle friendly whatsoever, and that really needs to be emphasized. So as a result of this, the discussions that I've had, EDC has had with the town of Queensbury and county officials, we feel it's important to do a study that could take some of the information, the data from the 2008, but really look, a fresh approach is needed for this area. EDC is committing $25,000 toward the study. We're asking the county to join in for $25,000, so that can be matched by a private concern that is not a consultant, that is not involved in real property development or connected with any of these property owners. I'm not able to name that company until I can convey to them the commitment of the $50,000. We are seeking from this firm $120,000 to $150,000 to get close to the $200,000 level that we feel that is necessary to look at all of the alternatives in this particular area, as well as increasing that across the Northway into the Westmount area, and look at those interchanges and exchanges. The exits that were put in here were in 1960. It really didn't take into account the proximity of getting off southbound and northbound exits as well. So there really needs to be, I think, a fresh look, and I think kind of an innovative look at this. And finally, there needs to be not only intensive public engagement in this area, but the property owners themselves need to come to the table and participate in discussions, develop a consensus, and we're also, I believe there's going to be a need for the property owners to be involved in financial participation when it comes time for construction and the improvements. We're not going to be able to get 100% from the federal or state government. Certainly the county, I think, would look to the property owners for assistance. They're gaining some benefits, and obviously the county is as well.
Okay, thank you. Wayne?
I would encourage that whoever does the study really look at access management issues. when this first came before the Warren County Planning Board back in the late eighties, early nineties, the suggestion from the county planning board was to limit access and have service roads. The town of Queensbury at the time didn't see a need for that. And right now you have 21 curb cuts in a quarter mile or a little over a quarter mile stretch. You have the same square footage as the original Crossgates Mall with 1/3 the parking. So you're, you know, that's it, that whole issue also needs to be part of this process.
I agree, and we have been having individual conversations with the property owners, collectively we have not. One of the property owners has indicated that he is willing to reduce access into his property and provide some property to on the east side.
The number of turning movements in that area is just right.
And you can see that
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
right there, and that's why we,
Fred?
Question, do we have any sense of how much of that traffic is from 149, people coming from, to or from Vermont?
I think that would be part of an analysis to determine that. There's no question that there is a number. One of the reasons the outlets constructed their location in the 1980s was because of that heavy traffic flow going into New England, and many of those people do stop and shop on the way or coming back from New England.
John?
Well, and Wayne, you're right, some of us saw the wisdom and some are a little bit slower in seeing that wisdom. But, it's too bad. But we are where we are. But there have been new thoughts as to traffic patterns that weren't considered by the original study. There's new development there. Besides the Montcalm one, there's the potential for the McCormick site to be developed, so that could be expanded further. You have possible development on either sides of exit 20 southbound, because there's vacant parcels on the east and west side. And you've got pedestrian safety issues all over that corridor that really need addressing. So you know, if we're looking at keeping a healthy sales tax inflow, and we want to make that a destination point, then we should probably do something with the traffic pattern, because what's there now is obviously not working well. Maybe we could make it work better, but that's all part of the study. I think it needs to be done.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments? Public? Okay. I'd just ask Paul to expand a little bit on the property that we have for sale over there and how this would favorably impact that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have been doing a considerable amount of work in connection with eventually trying to sell the county's properties. Actually, there's two properties that I'm really focused in on right now. There's the property that we have that's right next to the Great Escape. As John knows, I've spoken to him, I've spoken to Ed about it, I've met with some other folks about it. We've also had title surveys and environmental checks done on the property, so we're really, and then as well as access issues, I've also had those studied from you know, what we have in our files and where we stand legally. But one of the things that has come forward dramatically is the access to that property, or actually the ingress and egress from that property, and how that could affect, or how it could affect the Great Escape, and also how the Great Escape could affect any development on that property. So we have a need there, and interestingly enough, in fact, John, since you and I spoke, I've had an individual come forth with some ideas of how that property could become more marketable if certain improvements were made. The other property that we have, as everyone knows, is a property right next to the Westmount Nursing Home, and that property is going to be subject to a study once we get the nursing home sold by the future buyer, where we will have considerable input, and Ed and Wayne, everybody will be invited back to the table, obviously, before that study is started. But we're going to be looking at what the development potential is for that property as well. So all of this will have, or could have, if everything plays itself out, could have a dramatic effect on the roads and the traffic in that area. So from the county's perspective, its own property holdings, I think this is quite important.
Thanks, Paul. All right, I'd ask then that, someone, make a resolution to, approve going to contract with IBI Group, and also forward this to, there's a request to, occupancy tax for funding.
Mr. Chairman, I think we did the
Yeah.
IBI group resolution already.
We did?
I believe so. I think
Right.
we are right now just
Right.
discussing Ed's,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
we're just
So we-
discussing Ed's proposal.
Make a motion on the 25,000.
All right. Have a motion, second? John? All in favor?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, all in,
Could I make a recommendation on that motion, that it be referred over to occupancy tax for funding, because we will need a funding source, and I'm told, that Warren County has $100,000 set aside, of which we had $71,000 left, so I think that would be a potential. I've spoken to the chairman of that committee, he said his committee would entertain that, if this committee wanted to refer it over.
yeah, I think that was part of it.
Yeah, as amended.
Okay, Bill?
I think this is appropriate use of occupancy tax funds. This corridor is vital to our economy, so I think it's appropriate.
Good, thank you. All right, we ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, any other business? Hearing none, motion
Thank you.
adjourned.
This is a PSC study. You had a chance to just fill this out, mail it back in to me, and